Let's be real, we all knew it was coming. The tension. The boiling point. The moment when Micah Parsons, the face of the Cowboys' defense, finally snapped. But no one expected it to be this explosive. No one thought he'd go scorched earth on Jerry Jones, slam the door on negotiations, and flat out demand a trade like he was done being the team's superhero and ready to become the league's villain. But that's exactly what happened. And the way it went down? Classic Cowboys drama, equal parts high-stakes sports, corporate theater, and Shakespearean family betrayal.
If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed.
So, how did we get here? Let's rewind the tape. Micah Parsons is a once-in-a-generation player. He's not just good, he's game-changing. A linebacker who bends time off the edge, covers like a cornerback, and hits like a truck. The Cowboys haven't had a defensive player this dominant since prime DeMarcus Ware, and even that might be underselling it. So it makes sense that when his rookie contract neared its final year, he wanted to get paid. Not just your really solid paid. No, record-setting defender money. Myles Garrett, TJ Watt, Aaron Donald money. And honestly, he's worth every penny. But that's not how Jerry Jones does business. See, Jerry doesn't just run a football team, he runs a stage. The Cowboys aren't just America's team, they're Jerry's team. His franchise, his rules, his circus. And when it comes to contract negotiations, Jerry likes to play puppeteer. He wants to be in the room. Wants to be the closer. Wants the headlines, the handshake, the cameras. And maybe, just maybe, he wants the control more than he wants the win. Which brings us to the fatal mistake. Instead of dealing with Micah's agent, the actual professional in charge of getting a deal done, Jerry tried to cut a side route. Skip the red tape. Sit Micah down man-to-man. Smooth talk him into a Cowboys legacy, discount while cameras flash and reporters start typing their next feel-good narrative. But Micah? He's not buying the pitch. He's not some wide-eyed rookie anymore. He's seen how this organization operates. He's watched players get promised the world, only to be underpaid, undervalued, and then shipped off the moment they get too expensive. And this time? He's not playing that game. So when Jerry reached out personally, bypassing Micah's agent, David Mulligetta, it wasn't just bold. It was disrespectful. It sent a message loud and clear: your value doesn't scare me, and I don't need your representation. And Micah? He heard that message. Loud and clear. That's when it went nuclear. Because not only did Micah shut down the back-channeling, he went public. Not subtle. Not vague. Public. At a post-practice scrum, still in pads, sweat glistening off his forehead, Micah stood in front of a row of reporters and did something few players ever dare to do mid-season. He lit up the owner. No sugarcoating. No damage control. Just pure, unfiltered frustration. I've done everything this team's asked me to do, he said, eyes locked, voice low. Every snap, every sacrifice, every play. But when it comes time for the team to take care of me, they go around the people I trust. They don't want to have a real conversation. They want control. That's not respect. That's manipulation. Mic drop. The air left the press tent like a gut punch. Reporters blinked. Microphones trembled. And then he said the 5 words no Cowboys fan wanted to hear. I want to be traded. The entire organization froze. And in that one sentence, Micah shattered the illusion of Cowboy loyalty. Because this wasn't just a contract dispute. This was a declaration of independence. Micah wasn't asking anymore. He was done. And Jerry? Oh, Jerry tried to spin it. Of course he did. Held a last-minute presser in front of a team bus. Slapped on the charm. Told reporters it was part of the process. Said he and Micah were just having a passionate disagreement. Called it business as usual. But nobody bought it. Because deep down, even Jerry knew, this wasn't posturing. This wasn't a holdout. This was personal. And here's the thing, Micah's not wrong. NFL negotiations are supposed to go through agents for a reason. It's professional. It's structured. It keeps things clean. But when ownership starts playing emotional chess to strong-arm a star player into a deal on their own terms, that's a power move, not a partnership. And Micah, as young as he is, handled it with more maturity than the 82-year-old billionaire across the table. He didn't curse. He didn't threaten. He didn't tweet something messy in the middle of the night. He made his point, clear, professional, devastating. Meanwhile, inside the Cowboys' locker room, the tension was getting thicker by the hour. Players started talking in hushed tones. Defensive meetings felt awkward. Coaches tried to maintain order, but how do you lead when your best player is ready to walk, and the team's top brass is pretending everything's fine? And the fans? Divided. Half of Cowboys Nation rallied behind Micah, pay the man. Jerry's letting another star walk. This is DeMarcus, we're all over again. The other half? Nervously defensive, he's under contract. Don't quit on the team. This is bigger than one player. But deep down, everyone knew what this really was. A line in the sand. Either Jerry Jones changes the way he does business, or the Cowboys lose the best thing that's happened to them in a decade. And it's not just about Micah. This moment exposed something fundamental about the Cowboys culture. The tension between tradition and progress. Between Jerry's iron grip and a modern league that doesn't bow to owners like it used to. Because Micah is part of a new wave of NFL stars. They know their worth. They control their brands. They aren't afraid to speak up, especially when they're being gaslit by legacy expectations while outperforming every veteran on the roster. Micah doesn't owe the Cowboys a discount. He owes himself a career he can be proud of. And if that means leaving Dallas behind, so be it. He's earned that right. And Jerry? He's still stuck in 1995, thinking loyalty can be bought with hollow speeches and helicopter rides to training camp. So now, here we are. The standoff. The stare down. Micah has made his move. He's walked away from the PR dance. He's drawn the curtain back on what negotiating with Jerry Jones really looks like. And unless something drastic changes, unless Jerry picks up the phone, calls David Mulligetta, and offers a deal that reflects Micah's value, it's over. The Cowboys are about to lose the core of their defense. Their tone setter. Their heartbeat. Because Micah Parsons didn't just walk away from the table. He flipped it. And in doing so, he may have sparked the beginning of the Cowboys' next great unraveling. And now it's a waiting game. A dangerous one. A slow-motion train wreck of power plays, media spin, and franchise ego. Because Jerry Jones, true to form, is not backing down. He's digging in. Quietly seething behind designer sunglasses, still convinced he can outmaneuver a 25-year-old superstar with a public opinion rating higher than half the team's roster combined. He thinks time is on his side. That if he waits long enough, Micah will cave. That he can smooth talk, distract, and outlast the storm. But this isn't the early 2000s. This is now. And Micah Parsons isn't playing chess on Jerry's board. He's building his own. While Jerry hides behind platitudes and photo ops, Micah is on social media, silent, but strategic. His posts are calculated, training clips, inspirational quotes, just enough to remind people he's still working, still elite, and still not wearing a smile for the camera. He's not trashing the team. He doesn't have to. The silence is louder than words. And if you think the other players aren't watching this play out, think again. Because Micah's stand is starting to feel bigger than just one player and one contract. It's becoming symbolic. A quiet rebellion against the old-school power structure the Cowboys have clung to for decades. One man's refusal to be puppeteered. You can feel it rippling through the locker room. Guys who've had their own contract sagas. Players who've watched teammates get lowballed or sidelined after injuries. People whispering things like, if they can treat him like this, what chance do I have? This isn't about dollars anymore. It's about dignity. And here's the kicker, Jerry doesn't see it. Or worse, he does, and still believes he can control the fallout. He thinks the brand will carry the team. That the star on the helmet is bigger than any one player. That he can plug in another edge rusher, give a fiery halftime speech, and Cowboys Nation will stay loyal through another 9 to 8 season as long as the merch keeps flying off the shelves. But what happens when the fans stop buying the illusion? What happens when the face of your franchise walks out because you wouldn't pick up the damn phone and talk to his agent? Because let's be brutally honest for a second, Jerry doesn't want to talk to agents. He wants to talk to men. Eye to eye. In person. On his terms. The whole system has always been built around Jerry being the ultimate closer, the guy who could sell anyone on the idea of being a cowboy for life. But that only works if the players are still buying what he's selling. And Micah? He just walked off the lot. This is the man who saved the Cowboys from getting embarrassed on national television more times than we can count. The guy who terrorizes quarterbacks like it's personal. The guy who plays with fire in his chest and never takes a play off. And you're telling him to wait his turn? To accept that negotiations don't happen when he's ready, but when you decide it's time. Come on. You don't slow play a generational talent. You prioritize him. You invest in him. You make him the face of the franchise because he's already earned it. Instead, Jerry tried to backchannel the conversation. Tried to do the whole, trust me, routine while skipping protocol and undermining his representation. And now, that trust is broken. You can feel it. Not just in Micah's tone, but in the energy around the team. It's different. He's not being dramatic. He's being deliberate. No big speeches. No tantrums. Just a single, crystal-clear message. I'm done. And once that card is played, it's nearly impossible to unplay it. This isn't the kind of conflict you just walk back. Not unless something major changes, and fast. And you better believe the front office is scrambling. Because the moment Micah dropped the trade request, phones started ringing. Other teams, good ones, immediately got in the mix. What would it take? How serious is he? Is Jerry bluffing? The interest is very real. And not just from the usual suspects. We're talking about contenders. Teams that are one piece away from being terrifying. And they're watching this mess unfold in Dallas like it's a garage sale for elite pass rushers. The Cowboys? They're pretending they've got control. They're releasing statements. Coaches are giving tight-lipped interviews about focus and professionalism. But under the surface? It's panic mode. Because what happens if Micah doesn't show up week 1? What if he holds out? What if he shows up but plays just enough to avoid fines, and nothing more? What if every sack he doesn't make becomes a symbol of Jerry's pride? This isn't about effort. Micah's never been that guy. But this kind of fracture, it changes people. It chips away at motivation, at trust, at the belief that this organization has your back. And when that belief is gone, you're just wearing a jersey. And let's not forget the elephant in the stadium. Micah is the Cowboys' defense. You take him out of the equation, and suddenly the entire scheme collapses. The pass rush? Gone. The energy? Flat. The intimidation factor? Nowhere to be found. You think opposing offenses are scared of a Micah-less Cowboys line? Not a chance. And then you've got the fans. The ones who love Micah. Who've bought the jerseys, the posters, the Madden covers. They've invested in him, not just as a player, but as a symbol. Of grit. Of fire. Of the hope that maybe, finally, this team had the pieces to make a real Super Bowl run. Now that hope is dangling by a thread. And the blame? Oh, it's already being passed around. On talk radio. On podcasts. In group chats. Some say Micah's being selfish. Others say Jerry's playing ego games. But most people? They're just tired. Tired of the Cowboys being this close, only to trip over their own drama. Every year, it's something. A contract dispute. A quarterback controversy. A late season collapse. And this latest saga? It's not just another bump in the road. It's the whole damn road collapsing. Because this moment, right here, is a turning point. It's the line that separates eras. If the Cowboys let Micah walk, or worse, force him out, it will be remembered. Forever. Not just as a bad business move. Not just as a missed opportunity. But as the moment they chose pride over greatness. The moment they gambled with the soul of their defense, and lost. So now the clock is ticking. Micah's camp has gone quiet. No tweets. No interviews. Just a deep, looming silence. The kind of silence that says, we said what we said. Now what are you going to do? And Jerry? Well, Jerry's still smiling. Still telling everyone it's fine. Still calling it part of the journey. But deep down he knows. He knows he's playing a game he might not be able to win this time. Because when Micah Parsons said he was done, he meant it. And the aftermath? Oh, it's even messier than you think. Because when a player like Micah Parsons publicly demands a trade from a team like the Dallas Cowboys, mid-training camp, with cameras rolling and reporters buzzing like flies at a barbecue, it doesn't just blow over. It spreads. Like wildfire through a dry Texas summer. Every hallway in the Cowboys facility is thick with whispers. Every player walks a little more cautiously. Every coach has to pretend like the sky isn't falling. But it is. You think you can just scrub that kind of thing away with a PR statement? Good luck. This is bigger than a contract dispute. It's about pride, power, and the absolute meltdown of a relationship that, at one point, looked like the cornerstone of the Cowboys' future. Let's be honest, this was never going to end cleanly. Not with Jerry Jones in the picture. Jerry doesn't just think he's the boss, he thinks he is the brand. Cowboys football, in his eyes, is Jerry Jones football. He's the ringmaster, the showman, the face behind the curtain. And as long as he's alive and breathing, he's going to be the one calling the shots. Which makes this situation even more volatile. Because when a young, generational player like Micah Parsons dares to challenge that, to look directly at the puppet master and say, "I'm not your pawn," that's not just a rebellion. That's a revolution. And Jerry? Oh, he feels it. He's not dumb. He may still wear those oversized sunglasses and speak in folksy metaphors about team spirit and war daddies. But he knows this isn't just about losing a player, it's about losing control. That's why, behind closed doors, the panic is real. Phone lines are lighting up. Jerry's inner circle is meeting late into the night. Not because they're crafting some amazing solution, but because they're scrambling to figure out how the hell they lost the locker room's respect. And while Jerry might be trying to ride out the storm, Micah? He's not letting the story fade. The next day, he doesn't show up for team meetings. The day after that, he posts a cryptic Instagram story with nothing but a clock emoji and the phrase, "Watch what happens next." The message is clear, time is running out. Now let's pause here. Because this is where you start to realize just how deep this goes. This isn't just about Micah Parsons and Jerry Jones. It's about everyone watching from the sidelines, players, agents, coaches, owners around the league, waiting to see how this plays out. Because if Jerry can railroad Micah, the most valuable defender in the NFL right now, what does that say about every other player walking into the Cowboys facility? Suddenly, it's not just a Micah problem. It's a culture problem. And here's where it starts to get ugly for the Cowboys. The locker room begins to fracture. Veterans who've been through this kind of drama before are already preparing for the worst. Protect your body. Don't get caught in the middle. You've got some players quietly supporting Micah, nodding in agreement behind closed doors, while others, especially those who need the paycheck, are towing the party line just to survive. There are whispered conversations after practice. Group chats lighting up with speculation. Some guys are already wondering what it's going to look like when Micah's traded midseason and they're left picking up the pieces of a defense missing its engine. Because let's be clear, that's where this is heading. The Cowboys are not built to fix things quietly. They don't do low drama. Everything they touch turns into a headline. And Micah, for all his composure and professionalism, has made it clear he's not stepping back into that locker room until things change. Not until Jerry stops playing billionaire chess and starts negotiating like an adult. But if you think Jerry's going to bend that easily, please. This man hasn't changed a tactic since the Clinton administration. He's still banking on loyalty. Still thinking he can throw a little charm, a photo op, maybe a legacy cowboy speech, and somehow get a superstar to fold. But here's the truth Jerry doesn't want to face. Micah Parsons doesn't need the Cowboys. He is the draw. He is the highlight reel. You think another team wouldn't jump at the chance to hand him a blank check and a captain's patch? Please. The moment that trade request hit the press, half the league started dialing. General managers are texting Micah's agent like it's free agency season. What's the price? What does he want? How bad is the fracture? And Jerry knows it. That's why the panic isn't just about Micah walking away. It's about Micah taking the power with him. If he gets what he wants, it changes everything. Suddenly, the old-school method, bully the player, win the narrative, control the deal, it doesn't work anymore. It gets exposed. And Jerry? Jerry becomes the emperor with no clothes. So what does he do? Well, in classic Cowboys fashion, he tries to play both sides. Leaks to the media that he's optimistic. Says they're continuing conversations. Tells one reporter that he believes Micah loves the star. But Micah? Not a word. No statements. No apologies. No, I was just frustrated. Because he's done talking. The Cowboys had their chance. They had years to get this right. To treat him like the asset he is. To engage with his team like professionals. Instead, they tried to go around him, then gaslight him into thinking it was just business. Now they've lost the one thing they couldn't afford to lose. And once that's gone, it's a free fall. Cowboys fans are starting to crack too. The social media accounts are a mess. Pay Micah is trending. Memes of Jerry in a clown wig are circulating like wildfire. Former players are chiming in on podcasts, saying things like, "I saw this coming," and "That's just how they do business down there." And guess what? The longer this drags out, the worse it gets. The season is creeping closer. Other teams are focused, locked in, chemistry building. Meanwhile, in Dallas, the locker room is a powder keg. Dak is dealing with his own leadership crisis. The defense is missing its alpha. And the owner? Still pretending this is just a small hiccup. It's delusion, wrapped in tradition, tied up with a silver and blue bow. And here's the coldest reality of all. This moment, this very public, very ugly collapse of negotiations, isn't the exception. It's the standard under Jerry Jones. It's always been about control. Always been about ego. And now that house of cards is coming down because one player, one star, one voice decided he wasn't going to smile and play along anymore. Micah Parsons flipped the script. And now the Dallas Cowboys are standing in the spotlight, exposed. No more myth. No more brand magic. Just a generational player, gone silent. And a franchise, crumbling under the weight of its own arrogance.